Find out why leading experts believe that continued stimulus support will drive the economy, why you need to know about 2 stimulus deadlines that end today, and the breaking news of the intricate details of a potential for a 4th stimulus check and more disaster relief funds in the upcoming infrastructure bill that is changing shape, which is exciting to you. A recent report from financial expert Conant Sennett detailed how there are still hundreds of billions of dollars left in the stimulus penny bank and how these disaster relief funds will impact the U.S. economy. He explained, quote, "The American Rescue Plan passed in March." If you remember, you're like, huh? Yeah, it was that long ago. Yep, we're in October. It was a massive $1.9 trillion. And while much has been dispersed or set to expire, I'm not kidding, a large chunk of it has yet to be spent. State and local governments are still figuring out what to do with $350 billion they were allocated. This is real, folks. Yes, snooze, you lose. Get it out. Those politicians are like, their sticky fingers are trying, hey, we're loaded with $350 billion. What are we supposed to do with this money? And of course, the last thing they want to do is really give it to you. Let's just be real. He also said, quote, "Today, both household and state and local governments are flush with cash. All that money is going to get spent on one way or another. And with the need to staff up after many lost their jobs during the pandemic, a lot will go out to workers," end quote. Sennett closed by stating, quote, "The federal government may have done the heavy lifting to keep the economy afloat during the worst of the pandemic, but states and local governments and households, yep, you are well positioned to take things from here," end quote. I guess what they're saying is the government put the money on the table. It's up to us to take full responsibility, make sure our politicians and our leaders, local and state governments, do what we hired them to do, what we voted them in for, and also we need to take the ball and run with it. With so many stimulus funds still available, hopefully these vital disaster relief funds can help millions of Americans across the country with much needed stimulus package funds. I wish that there's so many things that we can solve as far as people, and we have the resources and the money to do it. My heart will be broken if they don't use that money the best way they can, because this is the first time we don't have governments begging for money. They were flush with it, and they are flush with it. Do something with it. Meanwhile, 2 important stimulus deadlines will expire today, which means that you might need to take action, I know, to ensure the IRS has your information and potentially avoid stimulus tax headaches in the future. Yep, I don't want you to have to go through that. Today is the deadline for these currently receiving those child tax credit payments to opt out if you no longer wish to receive those payments. So today is the day. If you want to opt out, you probably should. Should you fail to opt out by tonight's deadline or choose not to, you will receive a regular stimulus check payment on or near October 15th. So if you don't want the money, make sure you stop it from coming your way because it's on autopilot. It also, the final day to update your bank account information address to ensure that you can collect your October 15th check for those who want to stay connected and still get that money. The IRS explained that, quote, "Last month, about 2% of payments were delayed because of the problems that mainly affected those who recently had updated their banking information or who's had invalid bank account information." So it's probably good they checked it. Otherwise, it would be sending money into the metaverse. Have you received any of these previous rounds of child tax credit stimulus checks? I'd love to know. Put it down in the comments. You also enter to win the $2,000. And to wrap it up, finally, we've got some breaking news regarding the specifics of the long-awaited $1.2 trillion infrastructure stimulus bill that could be passed any day. Biden says within 6 minutes, within 6 months, hopefully, you think within 6 years. No. including the prospects of a fourth stimulus check and other important disaster relief funds. Almost half of the $1.2 trillion package, which equates to $550,000. Well, wait, 50 billion. Wait a minute. Well, pretty close to half, almost half, give or take, is going towards new investments into transportation, utilities, and, of course, climate control. With $284 billion going to transportation and $240 billion going to, you guessed it, utilities. Additional roads and bridges will receive $110 billion. Railroads get $66 billion. And you might be asking, yeah, people ask, they want the details of this plan. Here it is. $110 billion to railroads. The railroads get $66 billion. $65 billion for both power grids and broadband. Yes, we need power. Why? Electric cars are coming online. Our current infrastructure can't handle it. And broadband, we're getting left behind by, third world countries. I hate to say that. We live in one world, right? But at any rate, it is what it is. $55 billion to water, which is essential. $39 billion to public transportation and $25 billion for airports. And yeah, the $39 billion for public transportation. If you travel the world, you go to Europe, you don't need a car. You just jump on anything moving, well, almost, and get where you want to go. It's amazing. Trains, buses, it's just easy. Fortunately, it looks like a fourth stimulus check will be included. Unfortunately, it won't be included as of yet, the upcoming disaster relief package. But that could change any moment with negotiations continue amongst Congress and the White House, given that they'll probably want to have the American public favor this bill as well as just taking care of all these infrastructure, which doesn't do us any good, right? Oh, well, it does overall. It's going to be good for all of us, ultimately. Hopefully, this $1.2 trillion infrastructure stimulus bill can get the okay and signatures from President Biden, as these disaster relief funds will help millions of Americans with necessary improvements in jobs and countless citizens still struggling from the past 20 months. It'll stabilize the economy. And the other thing to think about, if you want to be grateful for something, if it weren't for the pandemic, we wouldn't be talking about upgrading things that have needed to be upgraded for 20 years, literally. So, I don't know. Even if we don't get a check, which I hope you do get yours, we'll get something that could help us have the tools for the future that we need. So I think that's pretty important too. Thank you for watching. That's your stimulus check.